So we're gonna kick off today with Greg and Taha templating show, I would like to call, and then we'll have a little break for 20 minutes, and then we'll have a panel discussion about the realities behind the AI hype. We have Neste, Istekki, Solita here with me, and Greg and Taha, it's your time. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Grzegorz Goli. I'll have an honor today to present the ADE templating experience workshop together with Taha. I'm a solution architect at Agile Data Engine. I've been in the company for 3 years now, helping out customers with their journeys to the cloud and their data platform experiences.
And I'm Taha, solutions architect at ADE as well. Several years of experience doing different kinds of data things and the last years with ADE. But I'm going to let you start, Greg, and I'll come back later.
Thank you. So what we prepared for you today is a workshop. It will be a mix of a couple of theory slides about the templates, and also we'll have demo sections. So we're going to be able to present live what we prepared for you recently. Before we start, one question for the audience. Who of you already used ADE templates and are familiar with those? Okay, quite many. Good, but not everybody. So we're going to start with the basics. What are the templates, basically? What they are for and for whom? Basically, those are recipes for creating data loads in Agile Data Engine. They provide the structure, they apply the logic, and it's all done automatically. So the load logic is created for you instantly. It includes orchestration. You don't need to really care about dependencies. Everything is handled for you in Agile Data Engine. They are important from the fact that you can reapply the same logic multiple times. So basically, the way we see it is to define your template once, test it thoroughly, make it work, and then reuse it countless times. And that's basically the way to achieve fast and clean development experience and a sustainable solution. They also help automate the repetitive patterns. So all those cases where you need to redo manual work, most of them can be handled with the templates. They ensure consistency across your implementation and reduce the manual work. So let the machine do the work for you, basically. In the long run, maybe it's not so obvious at the beginning of projects and implementations, but in the long run, they also help avoid technical debt accumulation over time, which we have seen at various customerships, especially for the migration projects. Who is benefiting from them? I would say mostly data engineers and architects. They accelerate the development experience, enforce the standards, so that's especially useful for the architects and data platform owners. Come up with the standard and describe it, template it, and then just enforce it's followed across the data platform. It naturally helps scale the teams fast. It also helps maintain multi-vendor or multi-skill level teams in the project. So they kind of diminish the gap between the skills among the teams. Okay. When it comes to load templates in Agile Data Engine, they are basically standardized and they provide that reusable logic. And what's important, they are always attached to ADE entity loads. So they are basically part of that. We're going to show that with Taha later on. during the demo session. But it's important to remember that whenever you look for a template, you always go to the load logic details, and then you'll find these. They are applied to SQL load steps and also to load options. So again, I'll show that in a second where it's defined, but basically there are two places in the ADE UI where you can apply those. The variables are also supported within the templates, and they are basically open, and they provide a way to open up the sometimes maybe hidden box behind what's happening behind the scenes when loads are generated. And they're very easily configurable, as you will see in a second. A very useful feature is to preview the result generated in the ADE UI. So you can, even while designing the template and even when creating the template logic, you are able to preview in real life what's generated by the engine and what will be deployed to a database and what will be executed on the database side. And just a few words about FTL templates. It's going to be Taha's presentation today, but basically this year we introduced a new feature which lets you create advanced template experience in Agile Data Engine. They are so-called FTL templates, and they enable you to implement non-standard or more complex cases. So all those complaints or wishes we've heard from our customers now can be easily coded in Agile Data Engine, or maybe coded is not the right word, but implemented and also made reusable. They're using Apache FreeMarker language, and what also we're going to show to you today, they don't really require deep programming knowledge. It's just a very basic scripting knowledge is more than enough for these. When it comes to sample use cases, you might be now wondering where should I use standard templates or what's basically delivered with ADE out of the box, and where to use the FTL templates, or the more advanced ones. The standard logic for handling loads, that's basically built into the tool and has been for years. Usually the automation of the ingestion pattern, so all those patterns like copying to load into statements, handling streaming data or external tables, they typically are templated with the standard templates. Then data quality test. Many of our customers, they code their data quality tests in as standard templates. Error handling, and the configurations which are dependent on the environment. So, for example, you might want to have a safety gateway where you execute certain part of code or SQL code in production, and you don't want to execute it in dev or vice versa. So you can have various configurations depending on the environment. For the FTL templates, some common use cases are automation on the publishing layer. So a case where you need to join multiple objects together and create an automated logic out of it. Soft delete logic, which might be customized, and there's no like one way of doing that. You can do it whatever way you like to. Many of our customers use FTL templates for semi-structured data handling. So yeah, JSON files and such. And when it comes to especially to Data Vault. Some of the customers use it for late arrivals and by temporality handling. So also that is a little bit of an architecture decision how to handle this and then how to implement these. Naturally, GDPR is also one of those use cases. Okay. Before I jump into the live demo, how to use those standard templates in ADE, it's actually super easy, trivial. Basically, whenever you have a load logic in Agile Data Engine, you can just press the Save button there in ADE Designer, and any existing load can be saved as a template and then reused. Of course, after it's saved, it can be also modified and changed per your needs. What's also super handy, the templates can be set as defaults for certain entity types. So, for example, you might want to have a dimension, a fact type of entity, and you want to attach a default load logic always when creating that entity. So whenever it's created, it already gives you the list of default options. There's also an option to generate on creation or regenerate on deployment. And this is useful when in a situation when you might have already implemented hundreds of entities and hundreds of loads, and you want to make a tiny change to all of them, then you can check that box where it will just regenerate the logic every time it's deployed. So you avoid manual clicking then. And they are basically managed in the config load templates configuration package. Okay, let me now show you how that looks in practice. Let me just switch to the Agile Data Engine UI. So here I have a, by the way, is it visible from the screen, or do I need to zoom? Okay. So if I go to the load section of my dimension object, like in this example, dimension product, there's one load defined for it, and for this particular case, this is a load which does a simple dimension injection, and it has two options set, and those were like developed while the object was created. So one of the options has a smoke gray test duplicate check over the key. It's basically coded with using variables. So in that scenario, an engineer coded or typed it in or copy pasted it this code, and it's working right for other cases. Then there's the merge load option used here, which does the merging by ID. Of course, the option name is maybe a little bit hard to remember, or you might not always know what you're after. So you can then easily save that logic as a template. So at any point of time, at any load, you can just click Save as Template here. I will call it demo template. And when I do that, the logic has been saved as a template for my work. Then if I go back to the config load templates package, and let me actually refresh that. I can see now that my template has appeared here, and I can, for example, check the default option for, here are those options I talked about. So on the template level, I can now define whether it's default for this entity type or it's generated on deploy. So here, when I now check that it should be the default logic, I can save it and go back to my package, and I'll just create a new dimension now, and let's see if the template appears. So let's call it customer person demo, whatever. It's an entity type of type dimension. Create it. Go to the loads. Create a sample incoming load without any logic, and as you can see, the load logic appears automatically the same I had in my original object. So the smoke duplicate check and the load option, and it's as easy as that to be basically implemented and used. Okay, for a bit of more complex cases now, Taha will show you how to implement these in ADE.
All right, is it working now? Great. So yeah, moving on to FTL templates next. So like Greg already said a little bit about them, they are, the FTL stands for FreeMarker Template Language, and it's our new way to create dynamic and reusable SQL load logic in ADE. So I'll get a bit deeper into what they are, how you would develop them, and how to use them in entity loads. Then I'll also show a bit of a practical demo in the end. So we use the FreeMarker template engine in ADE to generate SQL, and these FTL templates enable more complex and dynamic scenarios than before. So like Greg was showing you that in the regular traditional templates, you were able to store load steps that use variables and load options and so on. But now with the FTL or FreeMarker language, we can use more complicated logic. You can define your own parameters and variables for the templates. You can use conditional logic and looping. Then we have this FTL model that sort of ties the ADE metadata model in to the templates. You can use the context through that. I'll get back to that in a little bit. And then you also have the ability to reference other templates, functions, and macros. Those can be either things that we provide out of the box, built-in stuff, or you can design your own things. And you could go as far as developing your own sort of libraries of FTL templates and functions and macros that you are then using across your solutions. So all in all, moving from static SQL scripts to dynamic SQL that sort of adapts to the context that it is being used in. That's the main point. And why you would do this? Well, the value, of course, is in further standardization of the load logic in your solution. So then you get faster development, better quality. Your data engineers don't need to invent the same thing over and over again, and possibly invent it in a little bit different way every time. Instead, you develop the FTL template and then use it across your solution. And of course, that then results in less maintenance and the solution being more coherent and unified. Then about developing FTL templates. So for that, Greg already showed you a little bit of the config load templates user interface. So this is new, released around the same time as the FTL feature. And in the editor, you have this new template editor view that has a sort of preview where you can continuously check what your template would do when you're using it in a certain context. So you can maybe see here, I'll show it to you later how it actually works, but the template being in the middle, and then on the left side you can choose the context, and then you'll see the preview of the code on the right side. So then there's no guessing as to what's going to happen when you deploy the template. You can see how it works in different contexts. FTL templates are always generated on deploy, so that means that they are centrally managed within the config load templates package, and you develop them in one place. When you want to take changes to the runtime environments, you just deploy the config package and then the related entity packages that are using the templates to get your loads updated to the workflows. So let's then see how the templates connect to the metadata model. So I mentioned the FTL model looks something like this. So basically you can reference anything in the context of the load that you are using the template in. So there's the load, then there's the target entity that the load is part of. You have the attributes, the keys, references, physical options available. Then the load has load options, so you can build your template to do something based on the built-in load options, or you can even configure your own options, and then whatever will happen based on those. And then through the entity mappings, you can access the source entities of the load and the same objects that belong to those. So basically this exposes the ADE metadata for the template, and there's some example here that is basically just referencing the target entity schema name and entity name. That sort of basic stuff was already possible with the variables, but with this FTL model you can have a much bigger variety of things that you can reference and build logic on. All right, then a little bit about the built-in stuff. So we have provided some built-in templates, functions, and macros, so you don't need to always start from scratch. There are some examples here, for example, for getting these sort of getter functions that allow you to get some sort of object based on in this case, the type of the attribute, or printing out a list of attributes, or adding like a prefix or something like that to those. So we provide some of this stuff ready-made, and all of it is documented in our documentation. There are also other examples and instructions there, so check it out. And of course, we always encourage you to develop your own stuff, and possibly, if you like, also share it in the community. So this sort of stuff is quite portable between different ADE tenants, so would be nice to see some kind of community happening there. Okay, so then let's say you have a template ready that you've created. How to use it then in a load? That's pretty simple. You just add a load step, and then add the template reference, like you can see here. And then if the template has any parameters, you'll set the values here as well. All right, pretty simple stuff, right? Okay, well, maybe we have to see it in practice to make more sense. Great. So starting from the config load templates package. And here under load templates, you have load FTL templates. And from here, let's just, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit so it's more clear. So I have some example syntax in one template here, and I'm clicking this code icon, so that from here I get to the edit view that I mentioned earlier. So you'll see my template code here in the middle, and then on the left side you can set the context where this template is being tested. So this is a nice way to iteratively develop the template and test it all the time against different contexts and get it then ready to be deployed to the runtime environments. So this is a very simple template. It just has some variable assignments using some of the built-in functions, getting an attribute for type DV load time, then building the actual SQL with a select, and then listing attributes with a built-in macro, and so on. Then there's some little conditional logic in the where clause using the entity type. So with this, you can see then that based on my context, there is some fact load that I'm testing this against, so then it will be generating something like this. So another example, maybe going a little bit to what Greg was showing earlier with the smoke tests, quite a common scenario that you could handle more dynamically with FTL. So this template, there's a nice documentation here provided by ChatGPT. It has one parameter, optional parameter, where you can decide which attributes you want to do a duplicate test over. And then it's optional, so if you don't input any value, then it will use the DV hash key of the entity. So it's presuming that there is that DV hash key type of an attribute in the entity if you don't give those attributes. And you can see that the template itself is quite simple, and the actual SQL part is then over here. So without any attributes given as parameter, it will use the DV hash key, which has been set in this entity. But if I add some attributes here, then it will do it over those like this. So simple stuff, but getting it a bit further, a bit more dynamic compared to what was possible with the regular templates before. So then looking at this from a bit of a different point of view, I'm going to an entity load. And in this example, I have a SCD2 slowly changing dimension type 2. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a dimension that is tracking history, quite a common case and way of modeling dimensions. So you usually have these valid from and valid to and validity status attributes in the dimension, and then you'll see that, okay, the new version is coming, then the validity dates must be updated and so on. So this is a quite nice thing for, or example for FTL templates. And what I've done here is I've actually separated this logic into two steps. So there's the first part, which involves business logic, and it cannot be generic in that sense that there's business logic in it. It is specific to this dimension. So this part is actually then just manually written SQL code. And in this step, I'm saving the current status, sort of current view of the dimension into a temporary table. And then the next step comes, and there I have the FTL reference, which is then using that temporary table and merging that to the target entity. So that's the sort of generic part, and the first part is the business logic that you have written yourself. Then if we look at the code preview, you can see the first part, which I had written myself, and then this merge statement is actually then generic coming from that FTL, and it is doing the merge to the target entity, updating those validity timestamps and so on. Okay, maybe then it's time for Greg to come and show us how it's very easy to do these templates with generative AI.
Thank you, Taha. We are in year 2025, and there's no demo or even a work day where AI would not be involved in it. So I have no clue about Apache FreeMarker template language. I haven't come across it before. So when I first heard about FTL templates, I was thinking that, yeah, that would be something for really like engineers with coding knowledge and all that. But luckily we have ChatGPT, and we made some tests on generating these, and actually it works surprisingly well. So basically what I have here is I created a new project for those templates, and I attached a couple of files to the project context, which are actually just the extractions of the documentation. So I just downloaded the documentation into a PDF and put it there, and also put a few working templates as a context. And then for my sample case, I just wanted to generate a data quality test, which is a little bit more sophisticated. So my prompt here is to write an FTL template which will perform a data quality grade test on all defined target attributes. And it should work so that if text columns are not nulls, that would be one test. Then I want to validate that all the numeric columns are positive and dates should not be in the future. That's just as an example. And basically, I got a template directly from ChatGPT. And let's try it out. I just pasted it before the demo here. So basically, as Taha has already shown, there's this nice preview which generates the data in real life, in real time. So I just provide the entity I had used before, and pasted the code generated by ChatGPT, and I do a preview. So it basically generated a SQL query for me, which goes through all the columns, checks the column type, whether it's if it's text, it will check if it's null or not. If it's a timestamp, it will check whether it's in the future, and numeric columns will be like that. Then I was thinking, okay, that's nice, but this kind of a test just tests whether one of the columns or one of the rows is not valid or not, but doesn't really tell me anything about the details of it. So then I asked further. So I just asked it to, now instead of selecting those rows, log them in an error table. So even was quite surprised to see that it understood that it could use that target schema, target entity pattern, added some suffix to it, Of course, I need to take care of creation of that and the structure of that table, but it basically created a data quality test which logs all the rows which break any of those violations. And yeah, it's a little bit longer, but I really, well, it's also commented and all that. So if I want to dive deeper into what it does, I can, of course, further ask it. Let me show you what this thing does now. Preview, same object, 80 lines of text. And now what it does is it will create a statement for each of the columns which checks whether a row is valid or not, and it will log it nicely that this is the entity name it belongs to, this is the attribute name, and what was the error and what was the timestamp. Still, well, from one hand, very trivial example, but from the other hand, writing that code manually and that kind of a template manually is not as trivial as it seems, especially having in mind that you want to keep it reusable. And now, when I define the template, I'm able to basically reuse it in all of my objects. So, for example, well, in the real world, I would probably work a bit further on it, on refining it and such. And whenever I feel like it's 100% ready, I can deploy it and attach it to various entities. And then also, as Taha mentioned, we can maintain it centrally. So whenever I want to adjust something in the future, it can be changed here in this level, and then it will get deployed automatically upon each promotion. So that's what it's capable of. And also one thing to mention: if you stay tuned for the afternoon session, you might see that you don't really need ChatGPT. You might not need it always for generating such a nice code snippets. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Arla. Do we have a microphone?
I have a loud voice.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Do you have to have anything ready for referential integrity testing? I think that contain in the for different types of things has to benefit on the referencing that you can set for that type entity, for example. So in terms of thinking of one incident we've had with my customer this week, so this type of generalized testing.
I don't think we have anything ready, but the reference keys are part of the FTL model, so should be quite trivial to generate some kind of starting point where we could then see how it works.
Yeah, exactly, and it was actually a recent addition, but now it's very handy to be able to read all those references from the model directly. So you are able to, for example, also generate easily the query which binds various tables together. So, good question, thank you. Yeah, if there are no other questions, we are basically here the whole afternoon with Taha. We'll have a booth over there, and feel free to ask us anything about the templates. We can show you some more complex examples, and happy to discuss those further.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.